When she gave me the ultimatum, my heart sank. There I was, standing in our small kitchen, the hum of the refrigerator the only sound breaking the silence, and she, with eyes full of tears and resolve, telling me I had to choose. It was my dream job, or her. I guess I should start at the beginning. My name is Alex, and I'm a 26-year-old foreman on an oil rig out in the North Sea. It's a job that requires me to be away for 2 weeks at a time, but when I'm home, I get 4 weeks to spend however I choose. It's not just the substantial paycheck that keeps me there, though that certainly helps. It's the thrill of it all. The sea has a way of calling to you, of making every moment count, both of the ones under the vast sky and the ones back on solid ground. When I met Emily, she was everything I could have hoped for. At 21, she was vibrant, full of dreams, and seemed to understand the life I led. We lived in a small town where everyone knew everyone else's business, yet when it came to us, it felt like we had our own little world. In the early days of our relationship, my job took me away for 4 weeks at a time. Emily was supportive, encouraging even, and I worked hard to secure a shift rotation that would bring me home more frequently. I wanted to be there, for her, for us, but somewhere along the way, things changed. I remember the first time she mentioned feeling lonely. I had just returned from a particularly grueling stint at sea and was looking forward to some much needed downtime. We were sitting on the couch, the TV playing some forgettable reality show we both pretended to watch. She turned to me, her expression serious. Alex, I miss you when you're gone, she said, her voice barely a whisper over the canned laughter from the screen. I took her hand, trying to reassure her. I miss you too, Em, but you know I call you every day. I try to make the most of the time we have when I'm home. She nodded, but her eyes told a different story. There was a distance there, a shadow of doubt that I couldn't quite reach across. In the weeks that followed, her loneliness became a recurring theme in our conversations. I suggested she find hobbies, maybe join a club, or go out with friends more often. Our town, though small, had its charms and plenty to do if you were willing to look. I even started therapy to work on my trust issues, wanting to be the best partner I could be. But despite my efforts, the gap between us seemed to widen. Then came that fateful night in the kitchen. Emily had been quiet throughout dinner, pushing her food around her plate, her mind clearly elsewhere. I should have known something was brewing beneath the surface, but nothing could have prepared me for what she said next. I can't do this anymore, Alex, she blurted out, the words tumbling over each other in a rush. I can't handle you being gone half the time. It's too hard. I felt a cold chill settle over me. What do you mean? She took a deep breath, steadying herself. I need you to choose. Either you find a job here, something that keeps you home, or we can't be together. Her ultimatum hung in the air between us, heavy and unyielding. I was stunned, caught off guard by the severity of her demand. My job was more than just work. It was a career I had fought tooth and nail to build. The company wanted to invest in me, to see me grow, and here was Emily asking me to walk away from it all. Emily, you know how much this job means to me, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I love you, but this is my dream. It's not just about the money, it's the fulfillment, the opportunities. She shook her head, tears brimming in her eyes. And what about us, Alex? What about our future? I reached for her, but she pulled back. I thought we were building a future together, I said, my heart aching at the sight of her pain. But I can't give up everything I've worked for. Can't we find a way to make this work? I can't be alone anymore, she insisted, her voice firm despite the tears. I'm sorry. In that moment, I realized that no amount of reasoning or reassurance would change her mind. Her mind was made up, and I had to make a choice. It was her or my career, and the weight of that decision pressed down on me like the heaviest anchor. I spent that night in a fog, the realization of what had happened slowly settling in. I had lost her, not to another person or some unforeseen circumstance, but to a conflict of priorities. My heart ached, torn between the love I felt for her and the life I had built for myself. In the days that followed, I tried to keep busy, throwing myself into work and the routine of daily life. But Emily was never far from my thoughts. Every call to the platform, every long shift under the sky, reminded me of what I had given up. I wondered what if I had made the right choice, if there was a way to bridge the gap that had grown between us. I reached out to friends and family, seeking their advice and support. Many reassured me that I had done the right thing, that compromising my career for someone else's ultimatum was too high a price to pay. But their words didn't ease the emptiness I felt inside. Looking back, I understand Emily's perspective. Loneliness can be a heavy burden, and asking her to bear it for the sake of my career was perhaps unfair. But relationships are partnerships, and I'd hoped we could weather the storm together, find a solution that honored both our needs. As the months passed, I continued to move forward, focusing on my job and the life I had chosen. But there were moments when I couldn't help but wonder how things might have been different. What if I had been able to find a compromise? What if I had been willing to make more sacrifices for the woman I loved? In the end, I suppose there is no right or wrong answer. Life is full of difficult choices, and sometimes we have to make decisions that leave us questioning. But I do know this: I will always cherish the time I had with Emily, even if it ended too soon. She taught me the value of love, of being present, and for that I am grateful. So, was I wrong for choosing my dream job over her ultimatum? Perhaps, but I chose the path that felt true to who I am, even if it meant walking it alone. And in the quiet moments, when the world is still and the sea is calm, I find a measure of peace in that. In the months following our breakup, I found myself unexpectedly caught in a cycle of introspection. The routine of my job provided a constant backdrop, its mechanical consistency, offering a strange kind of solace. Yet, amidst the hum of machinery and the ceaseless crash of waves against steel, my mind was often elsewhere, replaying conversations, reliving moments, and reimagining possibilities. I spent many nights lying awake in my small cabin, staring at the ceiling as the rig swayed gently with the ocean's rhythm. The isolation at sea, once a welcome escape, now felt like a vast expanse mirroring the emptiness I felt inside. I had chosen this solitude, and while I stood by my decision, it didn't make the silence less deafening. There were moments when I imagined how different my life might have been had I chosen Emily instead. Would I be happier? Would the warmth of her presence have filled the void? But each time I entertained these thoughts, a part of me recoiled at the idea of abandoning my hard earned progress, of walking away from a future I had painstakingly carved out. I remember one particular evening, the sun setting in a blaze of orange and pink over the endless horizon, casting long shadows across the rig. It was one of those rare moments when the beauty of the world felt almost overwhelming, and I found myself reaching for my phone, tempted to call Emily, to share this fleeting wonder with her. But the realization that I no longer had that privilege hit me like a wave crashing against the shore, leaving me breathless and aching. In the aftermath of our last conversation, I often wondered if I had been too rigid, too unwilling to see beyond my own aspirations. Emily's ultimatum had felt like an attack on my autonomy, a demand that seemed impossible to reconcile with my own dreams. But was there room for compromise? Could I have found a way to keep both the job I loved and the woman who meant so much to me? I began to understand that while her request had been firm, it was born out of vulnerability. She had been asking for more than just my presence. She had been asking for reassurance, for a commitment to our shared life and future. And in my pursuit of professional success, perhaps I had overlooked the subtle yet profound importance of that need. During my time off the rig, I started engaging more with my surroundings, trying to fill the emptiness with new experiences. I picked up hobbies I'd long set aside, joined local groups, and even ventured into a bit of volunteer work. Each new encounter was a small step toward rebuilding my life without Emily, a process of rediscovering who I was outside of my career and past relationship. Yet, there was always that lingering shadow of doubt, the question that never fully left me. Had I made the right choice? Friends would assure me, "You're climbing the ladder, Alex, you're doing great." But their voices couldn't reach the quiet parts of me that still mourned what had been lost. One day, while sorting through a box of old photos, I stumbled upon a picture of Emily and me from a happier time. We were laughing, caught mid-moment, the world around us a blur. Looking at it, I was struck by an overwhelming sense of nostalgia. It was a reminder of the joy and simplicity that had, at one point, defined us. I realized then that no matter how far I progressed in my career, some parts of my heart would always remain tethered to what we once had. As the seasons changed, so did I. I found a new rhythm, a balance between work and personal growth. I learned to be kinder to myself, to accept the decisions I'd made without letting regret overshadow the lessons they brought. And slowly, the pain of losing Emily transformed into a quiet gratitude for the time we'd shared, for the love that had, for a while, illuminated both our lives. Ultimately, I came to see that life's choices are rarely clear cut, and the paths we take are often accompanied by a bittersweet blend of joy and loss. My journey wasn't just about choosing a job over a relationship, it was about understanding the complexities of love, ambition, and sacrifice. In the end, I chose the course that felt most aligned with who I was at that moment. And while it meant walking a lonelier road, it also led me to a deeper understanding of myself. And perhaps that self awareness was the greatest gift of all. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting its final light across the sea, I felt a sense of peace settle within me, knowing that I had lived, learned, and loved as deeply as I could. Stick around for more stories.